what's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today we have got the main man Deadwood Jedi in the building. He has called me out, he's called out Scratch, Hellhades and Cold Brew. So Deadwood, do you want to tell us why you wanted to do this first and foremost, for anyone who's not aware?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I don't know how many people out there are, sports fans. I'm a big sports fan. I'm a huge nerd. Sometimes that nerddom is in sports, sometimes it's in video games. It goes all over the place, right? Yeah. But one of the things I love, and I've been doing for well over 25 years now, is playing fantasy sports with my dad, some of his friends, some of my friends, and it's a great time. And one of the things that I realized maybe about a year doing content here was like, basically, that's not that different from what we're doing here. We do with the theory crafting is a lot of like, let's talk about the possibilities without maybe we prove it, maybe we don't, doesn't matter. We enjoy talking about it. And so I figured Clan Boss Draft, man, it just made sense to me. It's just like, absolutely we can do this. And we'll have an ESPN week for Raid Shadow Legends here. And I'm just been super stoked about it. It's been super fun. But like, I love this stuff, right? Like this is fun for me. Like not only on my channel do I love the theory crafting and talking about possibilities and choices and stuff, but you're now bringing that into how you're picking your team, with everything available, and you're competing against people, which makes it really exciting. And so, I've had some of my favorite conversations all week talking to you guys about like what you did, why'd you do it this way, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah, I've really I'm not gonna lie, before we first came into this challenge or draft, I was really nervous because I didn't kind of fully get a full grasp on the concept. But then once we actually got into the stream, I really found myself enjoying it a lot more than I would have. And then this whole week of just building up has just been probably one of my most fun times in Raid since making content, to be honest. So it's just really fun to see all of us come together, and I've never been a part of any kind of challenge in any game, so it's really cool for me as well.
Yeah, it's been great watching you guys enjoy yourselves, actually. You do anything for two or 3 years, it's gonna get a little stale. So
yeah,
and I think Raid suffers from that maybe more than some things, because ostensibly it's a gacha game, but I've always looked at it as a puzzle game. And it's great watching you guys, because that's why, if we're playing it for a long time, it's because we like the puzzle part of it. And it's been great watching Scratch and Cold Brew and Hellhades and you get really into it. Kind of like an energy boost for all of us, myself included. So it's been a blast.
Yeah, so for anyone that's not aware, this is actually the Clan Boss Draft and the kind of champions that we chose on stream on Monday. So if you guys haven't seen that, I will pin it below so you guys can go and check that one out first, and then kind of follow all of the cycles on Deadwood's channel, because he's done one-on-one interviews and there's loads of content out there pretty much. And if you do want to see the final kind of damages from all of us, it will be on this Friday. But right now we're on day 3 of the challenge. Now, is there anything that's changed in this time with your team? Is there anything that you thought this could be easy, and then when you went in to do it, it might not have performed as well as you thought of it could have done? Or
yeah, there's been a surprising amount of changes. Some things I just wasn't expecting. Like first off, obviously we as a group decided to change the player power limit. It was, it's amazing how much extra player power something as useless for Clan Boss as resistance really adds to things. And so I know for, Hellhades, Cold Brew, who have completely maxed Great Halls, it really made it hard for them to even get to 300,000. Like, it wasn't really possible. So we went ahead and bumped that up to 350,000 for everybody. I was shocked at how much that extra 50,000 is helping my team out. I was running 300,000 team. I had it done and it was pretty solid. It was, of course, I had no rings, no amulets, I had no crit rate on half my champions, but like I got there and it was a good run. But now I'm able to actually optimize the whole team. Not completely, but pretty close to that. And that's making a real big difference, not only in the run, but I think also like the fun of it, right? Like if we can't use our best stuff, it's like, why are we even on the test server? Why are we even trying? So it's been nice to actually bump that up a little bit, and it's made me think a little bit about ways to, one of the ideas behind that was to balance account levels, right? So if you don't have the same kind of gear, like, basically, how are we all going to compete with Scratch, right? We don't have his gear, so we need to find some way to kind of balance that. And I thought player power was a very simple and easy to understand thing that wasn't going to be perfect, but would help. And so we've done that. And I think this is a pretty solid way to go about it. Though probably might come up with some ways to tweak that a little bit going forward, but I like keeping it simple. But I've been shocked because with that player power ad, it really opened up some avenues for me to, make a couple changes. And I actually did make a champion swap. And it really did a lot for my damage, which helped me understand a lot about the things you bring for clan boss. Consistency with your debuffs is so crucial. I had absolutely no idea it was going to be that important, and it's really just vital to what you can do with your team. If you can't consistently keep that decreased defense and weaken up, it just hurts your run overall. You only need to
100%.
drop it once or twice and it makes a big difference. So I made a couple little changes. Been good. I think my team currently is going better than I had expected, which is pretty dang good. I'm really excited about it.
Do you want to
feel pretty confident.
Do you want to spill the beans of what you've gone with as the new champion, or are you keeping it for Friday?
I don't know if I want to. I don't know. I'll put it this way. I had the big surprise pick with Runekeeper Dazdirk, and I built a team with him, and it slaps. It's a sweet squad. It's really nice. But on review, I had to make a change there. So that's the spot where I made my change. But I don't think the damage numbers are that crazy different. And I do definitely have a video with Runekeeper because it was such a cool run, but it's just not.
I was gonna say I'm really excited for the Runekeeper one, and now that you're switching, I'm like, oh, what's he gonna go for?
I know. Everybody was excited about it, but we had made it. I think fairly interesting change here. That's probably a little bit off, still a little bit off meta. But I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm pretty happy with my team right now.
So
I was very nervous, but the thing is like I'm not competing against Clan Boss. I'm competing against you guys. So I had to make, if this is gonna make the team better, I had to make that move. So
100%. Like with my team personally, when I was going into this, of course, everyone knows that the team that I chose was not what I wanted, and it kind of changed throughout the end. But then after the actual draft, I kind of went for the team that you recommended. I don't want to kind of talk about how it went with the Deacon Armstrong, but it wasn't. Right. I tried to go for the raw damage route, and then a few people, to be honest, sent me a video from a creator called ENK. I think it's ENK, a clan boss person.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, so around a year ago, he made a video very similar to what I'm doing, but this was pre-Geomancer nerf, where he was reflecting with the lifesteal, if that makes sense. So at that point, it's possible to obviously get those crazy damage because your Geomancer's not dying. So for me, it was like the Deacon team wasn't working, and then I kind of looked at that video thinking maybe this slow speed tune is the way, but I know that it's gonna be so gear intensive to get these results, because obviously keeping Geomancer alive for that period of time,
it's hard. It's hard, especially when you're trying to build damage on them too, right?
It's so hard. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see what it could have done pre-nerf as well to what I'm doing. So I think that's a kind of good comparison for afterwards. But
that's interesting. Yeah,
I tell you what, this is a real challenge for me, and I have changed my gear and spent countless hours. If you look at me right now, I'm shattered. I feel like I've been playing World of Warcraft for 2 months without sleeping. But it's been a lot harder than I thought, honestly, because as you just said, we're not competing against the clan boss, we're competing against ourselves, and literally I'm like, oh, maybe this next run will get me that 2 million extra damage or 3 million, and it's just like, no, it just doesn't happen every time. So I gave up last night at 4 a.m, so I was at it for 6 to 7 hours last night, really trying to do it. So I don't know how
that's some work right there.
I don't know how much time you guys are putting into your teams, but I think I've given up now. It's kind of the deadline day anyway, but
I've let's see, I've put I mean, frankly, I actually haven't had that much time to work on it because I keep working with you guys on getting on these videos and stuff. So it's been a little bit of a struggle for me. But I did put in a couple hours. I think I put in like 4 hours yesterday, building the team, testing a couple different things. Put it probably a couple hours the first night too, just like looking at a couple different things. It was kind of fun. I was able to test a little bit some mastery stuff, right? Like realizing, oh, if this guy has toxic on, we're going to be benefiting more from going support tree rather than defensive tree, or vice versa, you know. And so that kind of was an interesting thing to recognize as far as the process goes. But yeah, it's a challenge, you know, because and then the other part too is like, you know, I'm hitting that player power limit. And I overglyphed my champions.
Oh no.
So I had to go back and like, okay, wait, let's tweak this down just a little bit here. And that was a problem because I'm like, oh, I gotta find a new piece of gear now. Like I gotta swap something out because I overglyphed it. But it's been really interesting. And you know, I never get the opportunity to actually max out champions like this because it's my account. I can't max out my account all the time. But what's great here is that because we are on the test server, we do have that access. I am able to actually play around a lot more with things and you know, see what my team could do. Which is nice.
It's really interesting because obviously in Clan Boss videos before, we can't fully optimize to the capabilities that we do on the test server, right? So it has been really interesting. But for me personally, I'm still under that 300k player power. So I've got 50k less than everyone else, I think. I'm not sure about Cold Brew yet. But
Right. I just gotta farm, bro. Gotta get in that those dungeons.
I just the thing is, I don't know if I want to talk about this, or maybe should I?
You can. I mean,
you know, basically my
don't
gear.
spoil it too much.
I guess everyone's talking about their gear anyway on stream, right? So it's not kind of a big issue. So basically, for me, it was the Guardian set because I knew that I needed to tank those hits from Geomancer in order to survive as long as possible, especially that he's not reflecting his heals with lifesteal. And that was kind of a problem for me because I'm not a big Doom Tower farmer.
Got you. Yeah.
And I was really limited. So it's not something that I can farm overnight really quickly and try get a good piece of gear. I literally have 10 keys against the Griffin for 3 days. So I've got like 10, like maybe 10 or 15 potential pieces from those days. So I was really trying to like even look into 5-star gear or whatever to get it on these champions to be able to survive as long as possible. Because it wasn't kind of, my issue was, it wasn't the rest of my champions that's dying here. I think I could survive a lot longer. It was trying to keep Geomancer alive. And that was my kind of battle in this.
That's so interesting. So the stun is just really what it's all about for you right there.
I wouldn't even say the stun. I would say after the stun, I'm relying I'm relying.
You gotta heal back up.
Yeah, basically, when it gets to those crazy turn limits, I don't want to spoil which turns I get to, but if he doesn't, what's the word? Counterattack with his masteries, do you know, from the deterrents and stuff?
Yes.
I literally wait all those turns for him to do one skill, and if he doesn't counterattack, reset. That's what it came down to. So basically, if he counterattacks every single turn, I get those extra million or two every single turn, if that makes sense.
Wow.
Because I survived the AoEs, but it's just that one AoE one, and that's what I've been spending all these hours on, really.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, you know, I have to be like, I'm running a killable team, obviously, with the myth up, but I'm a little. It's really important that I win this thing, or at least put in a good showing, because I got a bit of a reputation on the line with it. But what I think is interesting, and what I would have liked to have done is run a traditional team, because I feel like that's such a cool challenge. And like, you know, the fact that you're talking about, you know, do I go Guardian gear? How do I keep this person alive? I need these counterattack mastery type of things. I think that's such a fascinating approach to it, especially when we're really min-maxing and competing against people where we know we have to min-max, and we're all competitive out here. So, you know, obviously trying to take that team to that next level, that's wild to do that. I mean, I know there's a couple people, you know, basically manualing their runs, which is just that's next level for me. Like I refuse to do that, but you know, that's
seriously, I think tight. I've never changed so much gear on one clan boss team in my life, in my whole time playing Raid. Seriously. It's because obviously I'm looking at, traditionally, I'm not gonna lie, I used Stalwart and survived completely fine. And I think in this team I could have, but it was very interesting for me because I wasn't battling against the AoEs. I was battling against keeping one single champion alive. And I've never been in that situation before with a clan boss team. I'm not sure about you.
I have run into that occasionally, but it's not usually with endgame accounts like ours, right? I mean, you know, for us, it's that's not usually kind of the issue. But I'm also, you know, once I get that one key number, I'm usually pretty good at that point, so I don't need to worry too much past that. But it, you know, a lot of times with earlier accounts, you see this all the time, where maybe you have a Skull Crusher and a Sepulchre Sentinel, for example, right? And Skull Crusher puts up that ally protection in the counterattack before the first AoE, but then the second AoE, Sepulchre takes that double turn, so we can get that increased defense and that block debuff. And what ends up happening is they're the only person without ally protection, and so they become vulnerable then at that point. And so like I definitely run into this multiple times. But it's
I just don't think I've never run into it when running a double ally protection, if that makes sense.
That's
I'm not worried about any of the champions. Like literally everyone is completely fine. I'm literally fighting a single champion. So I was just like and honestly, like Geomancer's base stats is not amazing, especially his defense. So for what I was trying to do, it was, I think I know the run off by heart. Like in my head, I go to sleep and it's in my dreams. I can just see the run happen pretty much at this point.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though, right? Because like you gotta, you know, getting that balance between these champions is a trick. And you know, you run into this kind of thing with like, you run into this a lot with ally protection teams where, especially earlier on, like that example I gave earlier, Sepulchre Sentinel and Skull Crusher. Well, you know, that first AoE can be surprisingly tricky because it's hard to bring everything to the table and have it up all the fight, especially if you don't have a buff extender. And so what ends up happening is, you know, somebody doesn't have increased defense, somebody doesn't have ally protection, somebody you know, doesn't have the strength and buff or whatever it is, and that can really make it hard to survive when that's the case, right? And so you know, that one champion that doesn't have something up will, you know, can totally muck everything up. And that's why that's why speed tuning these teams is so challenging, because you're trying to, it's not just making it happen, but making it so that everybody has all the things you need all the time, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. Because like you're saying, like once Geomancer goes down, your run's pretty much done. You know, I mean, I'm sure you survive longer, but all of a sudden your damage drops considerably. You probably fall out of speed tune. You know, champions aren't, you know, everything isn't quite working the way it's supposed to. And so that can be really problematic. And so, you know, getting that balance is just really, really, really tricky to do, I think. So
a quick fire question: if you could change anything in your draft for this first period of first time doing it, what would you change and which team would you go for?
You mean like my personal team, or are you talking about like the way the draft works?
The way the draft works, if you was to go into this again, and
the rules and stuff.
Yeah, and you couldn't go for the Demiffa route, which team would you ideally want to go for?
Yeah, I think, you know, if I were going to make any changes to the rules, and, you know, I'm really excited. I think we're going to be able to do this again, have some variations on this, right? I think that's one of the fun parts too, is we don't have to have the same style of draft. We can have, you know, I'm gonna add block picks in there, for example, or maybe we limit the champion pool by saying, you know, epics only or something like that. So there's lots of things that we can do. One of the things I think I wouldn't change anything from this one. I thought this is working great. I think it's giving people a ton of info, and it's a really good look to see, you know, how variety of teams pair, because we have a really strong variety of teams here. I think, you know, hellhades running that Lydia Sandlash kind of team, you running the Barogni Taragi team, Cold Brew with the Krisk, and Godseeker and Neri. Like, these are all really solid and I think prime examples of traditional teams. And then you got, you know, Scratch and me both doing two of the more main unkillable squads, right? I mean, obviously Maneater's one version, but Tower, Roshkar the Tower, Warcaster, and Sir Nicholas, you know, having two of those and going with basically a Batman Forever team is very, very strong. And then I'm obviously running a Demytha squad, so I think it's a really good gauge of things. So I wouldn't change anything this draft. But what
Yeah.
I would love to do is I would love to do one of these where unkillables off the table completely and really see people go deep into building their team, because I think that's more fascinating to me personally. As well, those teams have always been more interesting because they're more complex. You need 5 champions, and you need to bring all these buffs and debuffs and have them work in real good synergy. And we have a ton of them in the game, so it's not like the options aren't there to be able to do that and do it well. But that for me, that would have been something I would have preferred to have seen. Honestly, I think that would be the way I would like to go in the future. So, but we'll see. You know, I mean, like I said, like there's a variety of possible ways to do this. So I'm not really that concerned. Like maybe something we do in the future, you know, lots of possibilities here. Maybe something we do in the future, if we say you can build an unkillable team. We'll have an unkillable draft, but you're only drafting the damage dealers. We can all share the unkillable champions, right? Like, I mean, there are a variety of possibilities as far as ways we can go about doing this. So
100%. I think for me, for the next one, if there is one, I'm gonna have to pull some shots. That's oh my god, it was brutal for me anyway. I found it brutal, like just seeing all the champions, all my favorite ones getting taken off one by one. And I think although I got the first pick, I still feel like I was worst off in a sense, kind of. Maybe
you know what interesting is, I think for that's a tough one, because you were able to get your Brogni.
I'll tell you why. So the reason is I have to wait 8 picks. Like, I'm not talking, if I went for unkillable route, it would have been amazing, because obviously there's loads of unkillable ways to do it. But for a traditional team to go first and then wait 8 picks in between both of them, there's literally there's 8, and then I get back to back, and then there's 8 again, and then back to back. So there's like a huge chance of everything getting messed up. I think that gap is something I don't want to experience again. Because I have to sit there and pray for you guys, like, please, like, and you're all sitting there waiting for the timer to drop, especially cold brew if you're watching.
Oh man,
5 minutes.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So
no, I'm with you on that. I think initially going into this, we were all thinking we want to be on one of the ends, right? But in retrospect, I think that it's more. I think I actually got a really good slot being in the middle, because while I didn't have 2 picks back to back, I also didn't have to wait more than 4 picks to get another shot at a champion. So I was able to adjust a little bit easier with that, and I could spoil picks. Not that I did that, but you know, I could anticipate when somebody else was going to take something, right? So like I knew, like in that 3rd round, I took Turvold, and the reason why is I knew Scratch was going to have 2 picks and he was going to go 2 damage dealers. So I'm like, I have to get one of my damage dealers. Like I have to get one of my damage dealers here. I had to take Mashald in the 2nd pick because I knew you had back-to-back picks, and I'm like, well, he's gonna take somebody that's gonna give him that speed boost if I don't here, right? So like I feel like that part would definitely be more helpful. So yeah, I don't know. I really want to do a traditional team. Like, it's the funniest thing is, like, doing this, I'm kind of like, oh, now I want to build a team like you guys have. Like, it's so interesting, the different approaches to stuff. You know, like the champion I wanted to take going into it was Kyoku. I was like, oh, that's gonna be my 5th pick. That's the one I want. But then it's like, oh well, I guess the myth is probably a better choice. So I went that way.
I believe. Wait, did Hades switch yet? He did, right?
I think so. So.
I think also, did you see the stream yesterday on Hades' channel? I'm not sure if he was asleep or not. All right, so
probably sleeping.
I'd probably recommend go check that one out as well whenever it's out.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Because I think Cold Brew might have unveiled some secrets, so I don't want to spoil it here, but make sure you guys head over there if you want to watch that.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, I mean, this is one of my favorite parts about this whole experience is I've been able to have, you know, I had an interview with you and with Scratch yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago by the time this drops. I don't know when you're publishing this, but you know, I had an interview with both of them, you and him, and then I have one with hellhades and Cold Brew going out later today, and it's just it's so fun listening to you guys talk about it, because you guys also have very different approaches, right? And it's really interesting getting your thoughts on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's been great.
When we were really originally doing this, I wasn't going to compete. I was just going to do like the interviewee role. I was going to be the, you know, Mel Kiper of this thing, and just like here. Oh, so why did you choose this? This was an interesting maneuver you did here, like that kind of thing.
I think it's really good that you did do it anyway, because obviously everyone's going to want to see you on the first ever draft anyway. So it's
yeah.
You see all the polls. You're like the favorite on everyone.
I know.
Yeah, on all
It's
of
wild.
I might post it in the video with the edit, but you're basically the first on every single channel's polls to win. I think you got 50% plus, and everyone is mixed between that 50%. So
That's wild to
no
me.
pressure.
Yeah, right. No pressure.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy. Well, I mean, it's interesting because oh yeah, I mean it's interesting. I think hellhades thumbnail actually has that poll up on the thumbnail, which is wild to me. I mean, I appreciate everybody having faith that I can come through, and I'm gonna try and do you guys proud.
So before we wrap up, do you just want to, obviously it's day 3, you've seen a lot of things, you've spoken to everybody, you've broken down all the teams over time. Do you have a top 1 to 5 of where you think everyone's going to place in terms of teams just before tomorrow happens? And then obviously it'll all unveil tomorrow.
Sure. Well, I don't know. I don't know about 1 through 5. I don't know about 1 through 5, but I can give you what I think it's going to, and give you kind of a general sense. I have a feeling that the top 3 are going to be a combination of me, Scratch, and hellhades.
Okay.
Where it lands, I'm not sure. And then it's going to be you and Cold Brew. And I think you'll probably have a pretty good shot at knocking that guy down a peg and not having to share an embarrassing story. But I do think that's going to be the breakdown of this. You know, going through this, unkillable teams are really strong, and they're really strong for a reason. You know, and I was talking with hellhades yesterday. He feels very confident, which was very concerning. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. We'll see how this goes down. So he basically, yeah.
So is it just to clear it up, because on stream yesterday, I think some of us had a bit of a misconception. Is it just the final place that has the embarrassing story, or is it the bottom 4? I don't know if you can clear that up for this video, because we kind of thought it was everyone that doesn't come first, and we was all getting worried. Do you know? Or you just gonna?
Yes.
So
yes.
Everyone, right? He just changed it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. So I guess I'm gonna have to prep for that now. Anyway.
Yeah. That's the thing that needs to happen now. Absolutely, absolutely.
I think it'll make it a lot better, especially that it's been such a bigger turnout than we thought. I think it'll be fun just for everyone to have a laugh at the end as well, right?
I totally agree with that. Yeah, it should be wild. I'm getting ready for the stream. We're gonna show clips of everybody's run, you know, and talk about it, and then we'll have like a final reveal at the end, and it should be pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
I'm mostly excited to hear you guys' embarrassing stories after you lose.
Yo, Scratch, what was that? 180 million. But all right, guys, we are gonna wrap that up here. In the description below, I'm gonna leave Deadwood Jedi's channel, and make sure that you binge watch every single episode leading up to tomorrow's stream. They're all amazing. Like, I've been enjoying it and watching it as a fan myself, seeing the kind of thought process that everyone's going through. And so yeah, make sure you go and subscribe to him. And anything before we sign off here?
Just remember, guys, the draft is Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. UTC. That's 6 p.m. in London, so right for dinner. 1 p.m. in New York, just after lunch. Perfect combination, right?
Yeah, wicked. All right, so thanks so much for having me on, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.